Jesus, we come to you without pretending, without hiding, without trying to be strong. We come tired, mentally tired, emotionally tired, spiritually tired, and still, you welcome us. Thank you for seeing us when we barely see ourselves. Thank you for knowing our hearts before we find the words. You notice the exhaustion that lives beneath our responsibilities, the heaviness we carry quietly, the pressure we never talk about. Thank you for never overlooking our pain, for never dismissing our weariness, for never saying, "You should be doing more." Jesus, thank you for being gentle with us. So gentle, more gentle than we are with ourselves. When we push ourselves too hard, you invite us to slow down. When we judge ourselves harshly, you speak kindness instead. When we feel behind, you remind us we are still loved. Thank you that your love does not rise or fall with our energy levels. You love us when we are productive. You love us when we are still. You love us even when we feel empty. Thank you that rest is not something we have to earn. It is something you freely give, not as a reward, but as an expression of your care. Jesus, thank you for staying close on the days we have nothing left to offer. Thank you for not turning away when our prayers feel weak and our faith feels small. Thank you that you understand silence. You understand tears without words. You understand the sighs we release when no one is listening. We are grateful that you do not rush us. You do not compare us. You do not shame us for needing rest. Thank you for reminding us that we are human, not machines. That limits are not failures. That slowing down is not giving up. Jesus, thank you for carrying the weight we were never meant to hold alone, for lifting burdens we didn't know how to lay down, for strengthening us quietly, moment by moment. Thank you for unseen protection, for answered prayers we didn't recognize at the time, for doors you closed and paths you gently redirected. Thank you for being patient when we grow tired of waiting, for remaining faithful when we feel unsure, for holding us steady when everything feels unstable. Today, we choose gratitude, not because life feels light, but because you are present, not because the journey is easy, but because we are not alone. Thank you for peace that begins within, for rest that reaches the soul, for love that does not demand performance. Jesus, thank you for whispering rest to our weary hearts. Jesus, when we are tired, you do not ask us to prove anything. You ask us to trust, not to trust harder, not to trust louder, but to trust honestly. Faith, in this season, is not about moving faster. It is about leaning deeper. It is about admitting that we cannot carry everything on our own. Jesus, we have been taught that faith means endurance without rest, that believing means never stopping, that strength means never slowing down. But you show us another way. You show us that faith begins when we stop pretending, when we stop striving, when we stop trying to control what was never ours to control. Teach us to believe that rest is not the absence of faith, but the expression of it. That trusting you sometimes looks like sitting still, like breathing slowly, like letting go, instead of pushing through. Jesus, we believe that you are working, even when nothing feels productive, even when progress is invisible, even when the only thing we can do is show up tired. We believe that you do not measure our faith by how much we accomplish, but by how much we rely on you. When our energy fades, remind us that faith is not fueled by effort alone. It is sustained by relationship, by closeness, by communion with you. Jesus, help us believe that slowing down does not disappoint you, that resting does not frustrate you, that needing help does not push you away. Instead, it draws you nearer. We believe that you walk with us at our pace, not ahead of us in pressure, not behind us in judgment, but beside us in patience. When our faith feels small, remind us that even quiet trust matters, that whispered belief still reaches heaven, that weak faith placed in strong hands is still faith. Jesus, we believe that you are enough, enough when answers are delayed, enough when clarity is missing, enough when the future feels uncertain. We believe that you are not anxious about our timeline. You are not rushed by our fears. You are not overwhelmed by our questions. Teach us to trust your timing when we don't understand your ways. Teach us to rest in your heart when we cannot trace your hand. Jesus, we place our unfinished stories into your care, the dreams still waiting, the healing still needed, the prayers still unanswered. We believe that faith is choosing to stay, even when clarity hasn't come. It is choosing trust over control, surrender over self-protection. Jesus, free us from the lie that faith must always look strong. Sometimes faith looks like tears. Sometimes faith looks like rest. Sometimes faith looks like saying, I can't do this alone anymore. And still, you call that faith. We believe that you honor honesty, that you welcome weakness, that you meet us exactly where we are. So today, we choose faith again. Not impressive faith, not perfect faith, but present faith. Faith that rests, faith that leans, faith that stays. Jesus, this is the faith we offer you today. Jesus, we come before you now, not in a hurry, not trying to fix ourselves, not pretending that everything is fine. We come because we are tired, deeply tired, tired in ways that sleep does not heal, tired in places no one else sees. Jesus, we bring you the weight of today, the weight of yesterday that still lingers, the weight of tomorrow that already feels too heavy. We have been carrying so much, so many expectations, so many responsibilities, so many silent fears, and now, we place them before you. Not all at once, not perfectly, but honestly. Jesus, quiet our racing thoughts, the thoughts that replay conversations, the thoughts that imagine worst-case outcomes, the thoughts that tell us we are not doing enough, and will never be enough. Slow them down, interrupt them with your peace, replace them with your truth. Teach our minds that they do not have to be alert all the time. Teach our hearts that they do not have to stay guarded. Teach our bodies that they are safe in your presence. Jesus, we exhale before you, long breaths, heavy breaths, the kind of breaths that release tears. We did not know we were holding back. We surrender the pressure to be strong for everyone else, the pressure to always show up smiling, the pressure to hold everything together, even when we are falling apart inside. Jesus, we admit that we are tired of pretending, tired of surviving, tired of pushing forward when our souls are asking for rest. So we stop here, not in defeat, but in trust. Jesus, touch the places in us that feel numb, the places that stopped hoping because disappointment hurt too much, the places that learned to expect less just to avoid pain. Breathe life there again, not all at once, not forcefully, but gently. We bring you our unanswered prayers, the prayers we whispered years ago, the prayers we cried out in desperation, the prayers we slowly stopped praying because silence felt unbearable. Jesus, we don't accuse you, but we are honest with you. Some days, we don't understand. Some days, we feel confused. Some days, we feel forgotten. Meet us even there. Jesus, sit with us in our questions. Stay with us in our uncertainty. Hold us when clarity does not come. We place our future into your hands. The decisions we fear making, the paths we don't know how to choose, the outcomes we cannot control. We release our obsession with results. We release our need to know everything now. We release our timeline and surrender to yours. Jesus, teach us how to rest without guilt, how to pause without shame, how to stop without feeling like we are failing. Remind us that rest is not quitting. That rest is not weakness. That rest is obedience. When you invite us to come and be still, we ask for peace, not shallow peace, not temporary relief, but deep, anchoring peace that holds us steady when emotions rise and fall. We ask for strength, not the kind that comes from adrenaline, but the kind that comes from trust, the strength that allows us to keep going without losing ourselves. Jesus, guard our hearts tonight as we lie down, as we close our eyes, as our thoughts try to wander. If fear tries to speak, let your voice be louder. If anxiety returns, let your presence be nearer. We give you permission to work in ways we cannot see, to heal in ways we do not expect, to move in ways we do not understand. We do not demand signs. We do not demand answers. We simply ask that you stay. Stay with us in the waiting. Stay with us in the process. Stay with us in the silence. Jesus, we trust you with this night. We trust you with this breath. We trust you with this season. And for this moment, we choose to rest in the truth that we are held. Amen. If you are still here, listening to this moment, take that as a sign. You were meant to hear this today, not because you are strong, but because you are honest enough to admit that you are tired. If this message touched you, even gently, even quietly, you don't need to respond with many words. Sometimes faith begins with a single, simple response. If you feel weary right now, if your heart feels heavy, if your soul is longing for rest, type Amen in the comments. That word is not a performance. It is not a habit. It is a soft yes, a way of saying, Jesus, I receive what you are offering. If you feel able, share one word that describes what you are carrying today. Just one word is enough. Tired, anxious, hopeful, numb, grateful. When you share, you are not speaking into emptiness. Others are reading, others are listening, others are realizing they are not alone. This space is not about perfection. It is about presence. It is about resting together before returning to the world again. If this prayer brought you peace, consider sharing it with someone you care about, not because they need fixing, but because they may need rest. Sometimes the kindest thing we can do is remind someone that they don't have to carry everything alone. Before you move on with your day, pause for just a few seconds. Take one slow breath. Let your shoulders drop. Unclench your jaw. Allow your body to rest. Remember this truth: you are allowed to slow down. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to be human. Jesus is near, and you are deeply, fully loved.